Hi, this is Winnie.
Hi, this is Brittany from Hooters Fairfax.
It's 4th of July.
And we're here with Lake Lewis and the SportsJourney. We'll be talking with our fans about their thoughts on the NFL, the World Cup, and other sports.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the broadcast.
Tonight we're going to talk some different sports. We're going to talk World Cup. We're going to talk Redskins. We're going to talk what you want to talk about. And normally when we come out, we bring out athletes with us, but it is the 4th of July. It's a holiday, not for us, but it's a holiday in general. So what we're going to try to do tonight is bring some of you up here. If you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, don't be afraid to come up and get in the camera, get some audio, some recording. We're going to have some fun. We're also going to bring in some people that we know very well that have helped us here at Sports Journey. Mike Meadows, Capricia Alston's here. I'm going to bring in Daniel, my boy over here from Bio. We actually had our football camp last weekend, and you remember Daniel out there slinging the touchdowns left and right.
He was quarterbacking.
He was a little sore afterwards.
Yeah, he was.
But he
was working hard.
Exactly. We'll bring him on. And also have a good friend, Greg. He's coming in from Gold's Gym. A lot of us in Ashburn know Greg over at Gold's Gym. That's the spot to be. So we'll have him come on with us as well. So what's going on, Miss Chesebrough? You've got a camp coming up in a couple of weeks. So I'm sure you're excited about it.
I am. I think it's going to be a good year. Good year for the Skins.
You know,
I sound like I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm just seeing what I see.
Well, you cover them. I mean, it's you're supposed to. I mean, listen, there's optimism every year at this time.
Yeah.
If you're a Redskins fan, July comes around, everyone's, feeling good about training camp coming up. And then, unfortunately, the blueprint has been as October, November rolls around.
And we're thinking, what were we thinking?
Everybody's thinking about the next year's training camp coming up. So
what were we thinking back in August and July?
Exactly. So we have, there's a new coach. Jay Gruden's come in. Listen, a lot of the guys have told me that they're excited that he's tough, but he's fair. And I'm not going to say anything negative about Mike Shanahan. Fortunately, we don't have to talk about him now.
Yay.
But I think this was a team that has some young talent. They won the division 2 years ago, and last year was one of those years that everyone wants to forget about.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to seeing when you go out to Richmond this year?
You know what I'm looking forward to seeing is the secondary and the offensive line. I'm really looking for – I mean, you can't – a lot of people were ragging on the offensive line last year, but they weren't that bad. They just weren't spectacular. And Trent Williams is a beast. But I think there's talent in the secondary. They just need some miles under their belt and some leadership.
I think the secondary is clearly going to be – it's going to be the glue to this team as far as their defense. Because if you look at their front seven, I don't think there's anything to worry about there. I think Jason Hatcher comes in. He brings them some presence on the defensive end, the linebackers, and a name that everyone needs to remember, and I'm sure you're going to be looking forward to seeing him over the summer, is Keenan Robinson.
Yes.
A lot of people are high on Keenan.
Good to have him there.
And, he was injured last year. He's back this year. Kind of the guy, I don't want to, say this lightly, but he's kind of the guy that's filled into London's role.
That's some big shoes to fill, too, but he's quietly doing it.
He's actually calling the defense. I thought Perry Riley was going to do that. But
that's what everybody's thought.
But Keenan's picked everything up, and they have him doing that. So it's a young team that I think that, before everyone writes them off, listen, 2 years ago they win the division. Last year, bad, just overall scenario.
Everything.
But the talent's there. And if I were to ask you, do they have more talent, obviously bringing in Deshaun Jackson, do they have more talent than the team that won the division? Remember, Jordan Reed didn't play for the team that won the division either.
Hatcher will shore up the pass rush, and that's going to make the rest of the defense better.
Yes.
But it's not that different of a team.
It's just different coaching.
Yes.
And hopefully
that could make a big difference.
And hopefully the coaching can motivate these guys. Like I said, we know a lot of these guys, and they're excited. They're ready for training camp.
So excited.
it's there in front of them.
Yep.
And I think most Redskins fans, feel like this is a team that, that could do something. Let's face it, the division they're in, it's not vaunted. I mean, the Eagles had a really good year last year. You'll find out how good they are this because, now that Nick Foles is the guy, when you start making mistakes in Philadelphia, Philly fans will turn on you real quick.
Big time.
So if he has let's just say he starts the season, first 2-3 games, he's not, progressing through his reads, he's not looking well. You don't have a backup now.
It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty if he doesn't, because they have high expectations up there.
Absolutely, they do.
Big time high expectations.
Their
up
expectations
there.
in Philly this year, and we've got some folks up there covering them, and they're like, they expect them to get to the Super Bowl.
That's what I.
That's lofty.
I was told.
But I guess if you're a pro, you could play for Cleveland right now. If you play for the Browns, the goal is to get to the Super Bowl, and if you don't have that expectation, then you're not a professional.
You shouldn't be on the team, right?
But there's reality that sets in.
Yeah.
And the reality is there's probably, I think, 4 or 5 teams in each conference that should legitimately think that they have that opportunity. If you were to ask me about this team here, should they feel like they can get to the Super Bowl? I'm not biased, but I would think that they should feel like they have a shot. And the reason why I say this is because 2 years ago, they had the eventual champion from last year, Seattle. They had them on the ropes in the playoffs. They basically just needed to throw one more punch, and Seattle was done. We all know how that game turned out, and we know about Robert injury and all that stuff. So if they go back to 2 years ago again, they played every team tough.
Yep.
They did. And you look at last year, it was just bad. Every game – I think it was a fractured team. Guys were ready to, pack it in. And I think that this year, new coaching staff, new optimism. Yep. So when we get to Richmond, it's going to be exciting. Diane's going to be 80% of the time covering the Redskins for SportsJourney. There's going to be some nobodies filling in for you, every now and then. But we're really excited, though,
it's gonna be fun.
For us to be back out there. We had a little bit of a layoff from being at practices and being at camp and all that good stuff. And, so we're beyond those things. We're excited that, that the Redskins actually invited us back. So, we're excited to get back out there.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to a lot of the stuff. You write great articles.
Thank you.
And just so you know, folks, if a lot of you don't know, Diane has covered this team for a long time. She's covered them with me now for what, 4 years?
4 years, 4 or 5. Yeah, 4 years.
You a couple weeks ago wrote one of the most compelling pieces I think you've ever done, and that was you went to Arizona and you met with a couple tribal leaders from Native American leaders, and you got a different perspective on the whole Redskins name, the whole situation with that. And, I'll let you tell everyone here about that. But I thought that, some of the stuff you told me was kind of eye-opening for me, as far as just how the younger generation of Native Americans, from where the ones you've talked to, obviously can't speak for everyone,
right,
but the ones you've talked to, how they feel about the name and how the older people talk about the name. So, I'll let you take that.
Well, it was a fascinating experience because being out there was a perfect opportunity to, as far as I'm concerned, the only people that have the right to tell Dan Snyder to change the name are Native Americans.
I agree. 100%.
Congress, the government, anybody doesn't, they're the ones that have the right. So I decided to go talk to Native Americans out in Phoenix, and I will say that I got all gamut of opinion about the term Redskins, but the people that did not have a problem with the name were by far the majority of Native Americans that didn't have a problem with the name, and the people that did don't really know the history of the name. I found they didn't really know the history of the name, which was not derogatory when it made its first appearance, at least officially.
Yes.
And recorded.
But you said you came across young folks who talked about
support
how
the
they,
team.
you know, they they wear the burgundy and gold. I mean, they have no issues with that.
There's so many Redskins fans out in Phoenix, and there's Redskins fans that are Native American, and they support the team. They wear. I saw jerseys out there just walking around before I even, when I wasn't working.
Well,
there
let me ask
were
you this,
Redskin jerseys.
Yes, there are a lot of Native Americans that support the name and the team, but there's equally maybe 50% that don't.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that they're the only ones qualified to speak out on if it's fair or not.
That's how I feel.
When you have fans here, because let's face it, it's one of the oldest franchises in all of sports, in U.S. sports, and this happens to be here in the nation's capital, one of the most diverse places in the world.
Yep.
Do you feel like if this was a team that maybe was, in the Midwest or something like that, do you think it may pick up more steam out there? Or do you think it's because we are here in a political climate?
You mean would the fight to change it pick up more steam? That's a good question.
Because everyone, I think, is jumping on this because, well, first of all, you remember years ago I told you when Dan Snyder came out and said, we talked about this at practice, we talked about this off the air, when he came out and said that he will never change the name, and you can put that in caps.
Mm-hmm.
I told you that was the wrong thing to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it basically came across as if I don't care what anyone thinks on this.
Right.
When you're in a position of power like that, that was reckless.
Yeah.
And I've said it before.
Yeah.
Hopefully they don't pull our stuff again from me saying this. but I just thought that was unnecessary, and I think it's come back now and it's kind of biting him a little bit.
I think it was double-edged. I think in one regard you could see his passion.
Sure.
There's nobody that loves this team that shouldn't know that Dan Snyder loves this team. He loves this team. But he is almost too passionate. He was too passionate publicly right then because it just fed the opposition's fire. But, yeah, and I think they should just lay low right now. But
well, I've said that too. When Bruce Allen came out with the Twitter,
campaign,
that was a debacle.
Yeah.
You can't ask fans to go out and do that kind of stuff. That's just not good. I just, again, it's a new day, so to speak. This subject's not going away anytime soon. It's going to pick up steam, and the best thing you can do to kind of diffuse it is win games.
Yeah, that will cure all manner of ills.
Yeah, you win games, things change. You lose, it's going to come up. It's going to come up with us in the media. So we'll see how all this plays out, but I'm excited for you, being back out there.
It's going to be good.
We'll put you
Looking
on the spot.
forward to giving some good coverage.
Yeah, I want to see some great work as always, and juicy interviews. That's going to be the main thing.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
It's a little off subject, although we were heading towards it earlier.
That's fine.
Do you think that Chip Kelly's offense, in 2012 the Skins were unstoppable in many, many games, and it was obviously a new quarterback, new offense. Do you think that teams will have figured out Kelly's?
I don't know if they necessarily will figure.
And it will make a difference.
Will figure the offense out, so to speak, because I think that just having covered college football, I can tell you they didn't run another 50% of their offense last year in Philadelphia. It's that much more that he can throw at you. I think that the NFL is about figuring out the players, who are executing those plays. And I think the question now is going to be, and that's a great point you brought up, but I think now the question is going to be if people figured out Nick Foles, because he didn't turn the football over last year at all, didn't throw any interceptions. I think he threw 2 on the year, if I'm not mistaken. He just didn't turn the ball over, and I do think a lot of that was, his first 5 or 6 starts, the guy was throwing 400 yards, 5-6 touchdowns. He was tying some records.
Right.
Later down the year, as the year progressed, and you saw it in the playoff game against New Orleans that they lost, teams started to figure out some things that he likes to do to take him out of rhythm.
Ding, ding, ding. That's exactly where I was hoping you were going.
So now you look at it like you have a whole off season to look at the film.
Right.
And more importantly, and I hate to say this if you're an Eagles fan, when you take away one of the top guys to blow the top, that blows the top of a defense off in Deshaun Jackson, you can't replace that. I don't care who you try to fill in. You can't replace that kind of talent. I'm not saying Nick Foles will struggle because I think he's got a lot of talent, but I don't think he's going to have the same type of year that he had last year where he just was doing whatever he wanted to on the field.
Yeah, good. I was just thinking about that. I was thinking, yeah, absolutely. I was thinking about it when I was thinking about how Robert Griffin and Jay Gruden's new offense would be received, Because now, again, people don't really know. I mean, they know what to expect, sort of, but we don't really know.
Well,
until you've been to training camp maybe and seen more of the plays. We know what he said.
I know what's been told, and, not to put guys out there, but I've been told by a lot of guys that it's this offense is to the point where no one's going to be able to just shut it down. They'll beat themselves before someone's defense will take them away, because when you have Pierre Garçon on one side, you have Deshaun on another side, you have Jordan Reed, who they're spreading out wide as almost like another wide receiver because he lost 25 pounds.
Boggles the mind.
Exactly. Then you look at the running back situation with Alford and Roy, and he's another year back from his injury. Mm-hmm. And then you look at Chris Thompson, who a lot of people aren't familiar with, and Jay Gruden absolutely loves him.
He's going to surprise a lot of people.
He's one of their fastest guys, too, so they can have another back coming out the backfield, maybe in third down situations he can catch. Mm-hmm. So they have a lot of talent. Andre Roberts as well coming over from the Cardinals. And then don't forget your favorite player, Santana Moss.
Cannot forget my favorite player.
Yeah, so they've got a lot of good stuff. Looking forward to getting back out to camp. And, again, I'm excited. I'm not excited about the heat.
No.
But I'm excited about, being back out there and,
definitely.
And seeing where this team can go this year. So,
yep.
As always, Diane, appreciate you coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Continue knocking out the great articles. You can go to sportsjourney.com and see some of the great stuff that she's done, and, the likes of Sport News. They're carrying the feed and all that good stuff. So a lot of good stuff. Hopefully, the next time we're here in a month, got a big announcement on my behalf. But we'll, we'll keep it under wraps for another couple of weeks. But excited about some opportunities that are presenting themselves. So I appreciate you coming on as always.
Thank you for having me.
All right, folks, we'll take a quick break, and when we come back, tonight, if you want to come up here and sit and talk with me, if you some stuff you want to talk about World Cup,
please do.
We can do that. I'm credentialed USA Soccer, so you can come on up. We'll talk about that. Big injury from the World Cup today. Perhaps one of the top players, at least the top player from the host nation, Brazil, Neymar, is really injured.
He's really
injured. So when we come back, we'll talk about that live here from Hooters in Fairfax, Lake Lewis, Diane Chesebrough, Sports Journey. We'll bring in some more people from the group here in a second. Hang tight.
That's a good pour. Frosty glass, perfect amount of foam.
Thanks, Coach.
How's your Bloody Mary?
Spicy.
Wings?
Always fresh, never frozen.
All right. Who's the primary on Spider 2Z Snag?
It's the fullback out of the backfield. If he gets jammed, I'm heading the flanker on a curl route.
You're good.
I know.
Huddle up at Hooters. Why would you go anywhere else, man?
Let me tell you some of the reasons people get into trouble with credit cards. A job loss or salary cut, an unexpected expense, a divorce, a business loss, or even helping a family member or friend in need. At Consolidated Credit, we understand that debt problems are not about overspending. It's about emergencies and unexpected situations. Consolidated Credit has helped over 5 million people, just like you. The options for getting out of debt have never been better. We can reduce your interest rates, cut your monthly payments, and help you get out of debt fast. The time to call Consolidated Credit is now. There are a lot of ways to get into trouble with debt. There's only one trusted way to get out: Consolidated Credit. When debt is the problem, we are the solution.
Call Consolidated Credit now.
Call toll-free 1-800-426-6016. That's 1-800-426-6016. Call now.
folks. We're back here, Fairfax Hooters, myself, Lake Lewis. I have two gentlemen who are joining me. One of them on the end doesn't really need an introduction to our audience. Mike Meadows did a great job covering the Washington Wizards this year, playoff Washington Wizards. And we've got a friend of Mike's, friend of mine here, and he knows some soccer. So with me being credentialed USA Soccer Media, I never get a chance to really talk about too much soccer, but you guys were just jumping on me about a comment I made about Neymar. So we have Toyo Aziz right here with us, and I was impressed about the soccer knowledge. So I just had to ask him, you're a soccer fan, aren't you? He said yes. So let's talk about the World Cup in general. Before we start talking about Brazil and the big injury today to Neymar, let's talk about USA Soccer. You know, the United States men's national team, in my opinion, didn't play great, but they played a game that, because of some, the injury to Josie Altidore, that I think it changed the perspective of things. I think that they fared well, and I think that the future's bright for them because you saw some of the young guys, Julian Green, John Brooks, a lot of guys that came in. What's your thoughts on that?
With the U.S. soccer, how it's been progressing throughout the years in the World Cup, I think after the last game we just did, especially with Tim Howard's exceptional performance.
Wow.
With 16 saves in the game, that next World Cup is going to be even more live, and that we're going to see a lot more Americans attending different parks like Soldier Field in Chicago and, places in New York, Seattle, big markets like that, and a lot more merchandise and everything because
people were interested.
Yeah, they're very interested, and social media helps out as well because people see their friends talking about it, and then it just grows from there. So, it's a great thing to see that soccer being the most popular sport in the world is finally starting to get the respect it deserves in America.
I just wrote an article today on SportsJourney.com that talked about how not just in the U.S., but across the world, pretty much every television rating per country was broken when those respective teams played. So, obviously we know this is a worldwide sport, but it was proven tenfold because they're breaking records that, records that were already soccer records anyway.
Yeah.
Michael, when you see this team, when you saw the U.S. team and they battled, one thing other teams walk away with after they play the United States is they say to themselves, maybe the skill set isn't up to par with a lot of the great teams, the Germanys, the Brazils of the world. But at the same time, those teams walk away feeling like they've been in a war because the United States, one of those gritty teams, they're bigger than a lot of their opponents size-wise, and they kind of wear on you. If they could get some skills to go with some offense to go with the ruggedness that they play with, do you think this team could be ready for Russia in 2018?
Yeah, I think so. I think they can only go up. I don't see them regressing in Russia for 2018 in the World Cup. But I also think that, I don't know, with U.S. soccer, I think that when it's World Cup season, everybody gets really interested.
Great point.
And then as soon as it's over, nobody actually cares. I hate to say that up here, but
no, it's fair. It's what I wrote in my article. And the United States loves a winner, and
right.
This team was on the cusp, and I think when they lost a tough one to Portugal at the end, I kind of saw the cell, the wind leave the cell with some of the fans. Listen, this is a team that has closed the gap, not a lot, but they've acquitted themselves well. Other teams, like I said, no one looks at the United States as it's an easy win. We're going to pass some stats. They don't look at it anymore. The way this team has to get better, and I agree with Jurgen Klinsmann when he says that their players are going to have to play in the Premier Leagues. They're going to have to play in the toughest leagues. They can't play in MLS. I'm sorry.
Right.
That's just the way it is. And, I understand Clint Dempsey's, 31. He's not going to be on 2018 team.
No.
So he can take his $35 million and play for Seattle's MLS team. More power to him. I think he did the smart thing there. But if you're Julian Green, if you're, one of the younger guys on this team, you do not want to be in the United States playing soccer until it's time for, the World Cup or Federation Cup, all these different tournaments. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, the competition just really isn't the same. The fact that a lot of international players, they come to the MLS when they're at the tail end of their
David
careers.
Beckham.
Like David Beckham. Kaká just signed with Orlando. I think even Drogba, is going to be.
I don't like that though. I don't.
Yeah.
I really think the MLS does U.S. soccer a disservice by doing that. Obviously, it's about filling the stands and putting people in the seats, but those aren't the real soccer fans.
I wouldn't call it a disservice. I mean, I really wouldn't call it a disservice. People want to see great players, and unfortunately,
but are those guys still great though?
They're not. I mean, it's just
That's
it's
my
just
point.
leftovers. It's just a bunch of leftover players.
Yeah, there's a reason why David Beckham wasn't on England. I mean, there's a reason for that.
And that's not to say he's not a great soccer player, but it's like he knows that. Yes, I mean, he knows that with his celebrity and also his skill set, he can come over here, not even have to put in twice the amount of work and still get a decent paycheck.
Well, look at where those guys end up playing.
Soccer.
Yeah, and look at where they play, like the Galaxy.
He's in LA,
the
Galaxy.
Landon Donovan. Look at where he's playing. I mean,
still get big contracts.
Absolutely. So again, you make money. I'm not upset with you at all. I just think that for the younger guys, they understand that, and I think Jurgen Klinsmann, he said it in his press conference. Listen, we've got to make sure that our guys are playing over there. He wasn't happy when Clint Dempsey signed with Seattle. He wasn't. He said it. He understands it's $35 million. Where are you going to get that in the Premier League? You're not.
Right.
You may not even get on the field in the Premier League a lot. So this team has some pieces in place. I will say that just looking at the makeup of this team this time, you're talking about a diverse group, a multicultural team that I thought really represented the United States, just from an appearance standpoint. It's not what it used to be, And, again, in order to close the gap against the big boys, when I watched the game today, the Colombia-Brazil game, I tweeted, I could not believe the speed of the game. And it was like that from the very beginning until they went into extra time.
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, even in the U.S. game, we watched the game together, the U.S. game against Belgium. I think it wasn't until the 79th minute that Belgium scored. But once they scored, the speed in which Belgium was playing and that U.S. was playing, it was just really, really different. And, I really do tip my hat off to Tim Howard. 16 saves. It should never come to that.
No Tim Howard, no Team USA. You don't advance, you don't win a game. Because let's face it, maybe with the exception of Portugal, they were outclassed on the field. Even Ghana, I thought, outplayed them. They just couldn't capitalize.
But in all fairness to America, all these teams they play, especially in Europe, Europe has centuries of tradition when it comes to soccer.
Sure.
So it's kind of like, with Americans, how we dominate in the World Cup with basketball, they don't have that tradition like we do with basketball. We don't have the tradition like they do with soccer. So that's why I say that we're making progress, at least. One may say, it's really hype during World Cup and then it dramatically dies down immediately after, which is true. But at least one can say that this World Cup was a little bit more live for Americans than the last World Cup.
You know what the amazing thing is? The Americans bought, outside of the host nation Brazil, Americans bought the most tickets to the tournaments there, to the World Cup.
Yeah.
That says that, when it says we like to travel and have fun. That's what it says. Mm-hmm. But I do think that this is the first time that I've seen in a long time, and Michael, I agree with you wholeheartedly, that every time World Cup comes around, fans jump on and then they jump back off. But I think this group somehow, some way has a little bit of sticking power that maybe, in the past, a month after the World Cup, no one cared. Maybe this time it may be 2-3 months and then no one cares. But I think that they have a little buzz right now that if some marketing's done properly or something's done the right way, maybe, 10, 15, 20% of the fans that are interested now stay with you as opposed to they leave too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's possible. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Time will definitely tell. It's possible. I'd love to see that happen. Just because, even in this area alone, some of us have covered the Washington Spirit women's soccer games, and they have a great turnout. I feel like women's soccer actually has a little bit more notoriety.
I think it does as a whole.
Soccer. As a whole.
Absolutely.
But just when you compare all the DC area sports, the Redskins, obviously they're always going to sell tickets. The Wizards now they're selling tickets. The Nationals, they sell tickets.
Capital
DC,
sell tickets.
Capital sell tickets. DC United, I think they're struggling.
They are. They're not the old DC
hurting,
United.
they're hurting really, really bad. They haven't really had any real attention to them since Freddie Adu came.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of they're just there. We know we have a men's soccer team. Nobody actually really cares. That's why I say, like, when the World Cup comes, I think the World Cup really symbolizes patriotism versus an interest for soccer.
Right now, I agree.
Right now.
Mm-hmm. Now let me ask you, just as far as some of the guys on this team, I mentioned Julian Green.
Yeah.
Comes right in, gets busy, scores a goal.
Oh yeah,
I'm not going to second guess, but I thought that just looking at even in the Ghana game, even in the Portugal game, sometimes you need another person that has some skills out there.
Yeah.
And I know he's young, and you have to wait your turn. But I think he could have helped in a lot of ways. Maybe not. I'm not saying he was going to be like the kid we saw today from Colombia, but I do think that he's a guy that gave you a little bit more speed, gave you some movement with the ball. I mean, you look at DeAndre Yedlin. He came in and showed some tremendous speed on the side. Mm-hmm. So these are guys that are going to be there. I was a little baffled why Brooks didn't play after he had the game winner against Ghana. You didn't even see him in the tournament after that. Right. So, I'm not trying to play second guess here, but I do think that maybe Jurgen Klinsmann, who I'm definitely 100% behind to continue to go forward as the leader of U.S. soccer, but I do think that they could have, played a little bit more aggressive at times. Mm-hmm. You and I both know, you guys, obviously soccer fans, when all the U.S. fans are saying, like Landon Donovan said, that we should have played our game, which is an attacking mode. There's no way you can do that against the teams that were in your pool. Right. No way.
You had one of the toughest groups?
Absolutely. Your group, those teams would have given up. You would have given up 4 goals if you played their style of play because you can't match their skill sets. Mm-hmm. But at times you have to be a little bit more. I didn't like Clint Dempsey up by himself. I didn't like that at all. And Michael Bradley struggled because that's not his natural position. He's more of a defensive guy, and they had him being a playmaker. So there's some holes that they can fill. Do you think these young guys can be
I think
legitimately the next face?
Definitely. And Julian Green, he has dual citizenship in Germany and U.S., so, that.
He's American.
Yeah, he's American, definitely.
Because he can never play for Germany. So.
No, he's American. Born in Tampa, Florida.
Yeah.
And I really can't wait to see what the future holds for him. He's a young talent. He's going to be exceptional in the future, and as well as the right winger. What's his name again?
DeAndre Yedlin.
DeAndre Yedlin. He's going to be great as well. And he showed a lot of maturity. He showed a lot of confidence.
He did.
He showed a lot
Seemed
of
like as the game went on, he got better.
Yeah.
And he looked like he wanted to, make some things happen.
Right.
And that's what the U.S. has lacked over the years.
Yes.
The big key is now, it's not the skill set as far as, midfielders, forwards, all that stuff. It's going to be who is going to replace Timmy Howard.
Yeah.
That's a tough shoe to fill right there.
Yeah. Tim Howard, because he played basketball too. He's a basketball phenom, and you could see that when he was blocking the goals and shooting it right over the goal. I don't know. Without him, I think the score would have been like 8-1 against Belgium if he wasn't our goalie.
It could have been.
It could have been, the way they were attacking.
Even in the Portugal game, they missed some opportunities where there were wide open spots, that shots that he just knocked away. So, great goalie. And, it's good that he's getting a lot of love now.
Yeah,
I think most people who know of him from the Premier League know that he's legit. Mm-hmm. But I don't know if the Americans really realize that they do have a soccer player on this team that's world class, and it's their goalie.
Yeah. I think now they're going to start to realize because he's a superstar for now. And a window, he needs to take the opportunity he has right now.
Get some money.
Yeah, honestly, that's
endorsements.
What he needs to do. Get some endorsements. Hopefully help build the presence of soccer in this country for us.
Can goalies play at 36, 37?
I think they can.
So you think he could come back in 4 years?
Yes, I think.
It'd be 36, 37 then, right?
I think his last World Cup.
I think goalies can, as long as they maintain their quickness. I feel like that position. Granted, you're not doing as much work as people who are defending, and obviously your middies and stuff like that. But speed and reaction time is really, really imperative.
And maybe what's in front of him will help him too.
Right, exactly.
So he's not always having to make 16 saves in a game. That's that's not common. That's ridiculous. So I'm gonna put you guys on the spot because obviously today big injury to Brazil. I don't want to sit here and say it crushes their hopes because they're still one of the top teams in the world, and they still have an all-star roster. But let's face it, when you lose, a talent like Neymar, that's tough to overcome. And broken vertebrae. Mike actually told me before we actually went on the air, and then watching the game when it happened, I thought maybe he had like a bruise or something, but to hear that that's what it is, I mean, he's going to be down for a while. I mean, it's not just the rest of this World Cup, but some of their other competition coming up. I've already said to you guys, I thought Germany had a shot to beat them regardless. Mm-hmm. Does this, in your opinion, make the Germany game almost too winnable for Germany at this point?
Not too winnable. I think it definitely gives them an edge now, obviously, without Neymar, one of the best players in the World Cup. But Brazil has a great defense. And, I mean, one of the defenders scored a goal today, Thiago Silva.
No, exactly.
So,
who I said was good.
Right, he's great, So, I mean, like, it's still up in the air, because Brazil was the number one team in terms of probability to win the entire tournament.
Yeah. They were the favorites,
Yeah, with the favorites, yeah. And then, obviously, Germany's been a soccer powerhouse for as long as I can remember. So, to say the least, it's going to be a great match regardless. And
I'm looking forward to it.
If I had to pick a winner, I would say Germany, though.
Who benefits from him being out more, Germany or maybe in Argentina?
Argentina.
Yeah.
Argentina, definitely. Only one that really makes a significant difference is Lionel Messi. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
what's your biggest shocker before we wrap up, folks? What's your and folks? I'm here right now with Toyo Aziz, Mike Meadows, talking soccer here from Hooters in Fairfax. But what's your biggest moment from this World Cup? I mean, as far as like shockers, just something you didn't expect. What would you say it was?
I'll definitely say it was Lionel Messi's goal on stoppage time.
That was nice.
Yeah, that was insane.
That was nice.
He has a lot of pressure on him because
a
lot of Argentinians look at him like the next Maradona. And doing that, it definitely quieted a lot of critics.
At 26, he has the potential to, and need I say this? It's scary to say it, could surpass the great Maradona.
He has potential. He's young.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mike, anything stand out to you?
A couple things. I mean, I really didn't expect USA to lose the way they did against Belgium, having going 79 minutes.
Yeah,
putting
that was
up.
difficult.
I mean, they put up a really, really great defensive effort up until like the last 10, 15 minutes of that game. But I think today, I think David Luiz, that free kick. We were talking about it. That was great. That free kick today was a laser. There was like hardly any rotation on that ball. It was just straight power and accuracy in that game today against Colombia. That was probably like one of the biggest moments besides Van Persie's goal earlier in the tournament.
I think the Messi goal in extra time was incredible. I'll go another step here. I think Spain, looking the way they did, they looked terrible. And we're talking about one of the greatest teams over the last 3-4 years. I mean, when you win the European League, I mean, in the last World Cup. I mean, same group of guys. They look like, and I'm not making excuses for them, but they look like they really looked old in that heat down there in Brazil. They did not look like the same team. And just looking at them, if you didn't know soccer and you saw them for the first time, you would ask yourself, how could this be one of those great teams? So I was shocked by that. And then I also will say this. I thought Cristiano Ronaldo, who's one of the top 2 players in the world, he struggled. I know he was injured, but, you got to give him credit for playing. But, man, he did not look good at all.
No, it was kind of, painful to watch because, he's an exciting player to watch when he is fully healthy. And the World Cup's only every 4 years, but like you said, at least he did go out there and try.
No, he showed that he was game, but sometimes you might be better off not playing.
Sometimes,
especially if you already know what this guy's capable of.
Right.
Before I let you guys go, best player in the world, Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo?
Messi. Hands down, Messi.
Best player in the world is going to have to be my goalie for my Nigerian Super Eagles, Inyema. He held it down against France. All right. Nah, but on a serious note, I think
a tough bracket there.
Yeah, that was. It's a shame they had to lose. That was a really, really good game.
That was a great game.
A really, really good game. But honestly, though, between the two, I think I have to go Messi. Messi just.
I can't argue that.
Yeah,
I mean, the stuff that the guy does,
really
and when you stand out on a team full of other superstars, and you clearly, it's like you look at an NBA All-Star game, and you see, remember all those years Kobe was winning the MVP,
right?
Now you see LeBron's clearly the guy. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And he's not the biggest guy in the world either. On top of that, with 5'5", 5'6" guy.
That's the thing with soccer. He's got to be the quickest, really.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, and having a low center of gravity really helps with those guys.
You know what I've come to appreciate about Messi is that the stuff that he does is not really flashy. It's effective. I mean, he's not the guy that's tricking you and doing all. He's just going by you.
Yeah.
So it's almost like you look at LeBron. People don't appreciate his skill set and how dominant he is. Messi, to me, is that guy. Would you say if you had to pick the most dominant sports figure in the world from his sport, is it Messi over anybody right now?
In just soccer?
No. Just as far as
in his field.
No, in his field. Is his dominance in soccer better than LeBron's dominance in basketball?
No.
I don't know.
I think
I don't know.
You can't say Messi's dominance in soccer. I mean, well, granted, Messi's had some great games like a couple years ago. The 5-goal game, that was big. I mean, but what LeBron does on a basketball court.
I agree. He's great.
I don't think.
But who's the most dominant sports athlete? Period.
I think the most dominant.
Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Overall, out of LeBron and Messi, I would say Messi, because to me, LeBron is just athletic freak. I think
he's got a great skill set though.
He does, but I mean, Messi is just when he goes out on the field in soccer, he just looks like.
True soccer fan right here.
I am.
He's staying
maybe
soccer.
Maybe I'm a little biased.
He's staying soccer the whole time.
I'm a Kobe Bryant fan. So I'm not really going to be on LeBron's side anyway, but to defend my case,
okay,
I'll just say Messi. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm going to stay partial on this one. I just wanted to ask you guys that question.
Yeah.
No football player jumps in that category, huh?
Football player?
Adrian Peterson, no.
Nah, Adrian Peterson, he shuts that NFL down. But the thing is with Adrian
What about
Peterson,
Miguel Cabrera? In baseball.
Cabrera, baseball's not real. I'm only a Nationals fan. That's all I know about baseball.
Speaking of baseball, Mike Trout's been doing well though.
Mike Trout's the man.
Yeah.
Mike Trout is I think Mike Trout is actually the worst thing that could ever happen for Bryce Harper right here.
Yeah. Mike Trout is a problem.
He's come out of nowhere, and this guy.
That's what I've heard.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that's the guy, and he got paid very well too.
Yeah, he did.
As a 20-year-old.
Yeah, he got some bucks.
That's the beauty of baseball, MLB.
Yeah, he got a really big contract.
Yeah. So look, guys, this is good stuff, man. I wanted to talk some World Cup, but I didn't know if anybody could actually come up and do it. So, who's winning the whole thing, real quick?
We were saying the Netherlands earlier, but I think I'm gonna go for winning the whole thing.
I'm still saying Netherlands.
Yeah, I think
Argentina. They can score. You have to be able to score.
They can score.
They can score though. They scored 5 goals.
So you have them beating Argentina?
No, I don't know. It's going to be one of those two. I can't pick. I can't pick one or the other right now. I'm not that informed at this point.
Yeah, that's listen, whoever wins that is not an upset. They're both great teams. The Netherlands one of the top 6-7 teams in the world.
Right. It's going to be a dogfight regardless. I feel like most of the games left are going to be dogfights. I mean,
the cream's risen to the top.
Right, exactly.
Now you see the best teams, best players. It's a shame that that Neymar won't be able to play because it would have been. I just thought it would have been epic to see a Messi versus Neymar, Argentina. Their rival.
Right.
Same. From South Americans. That's going to be big.
Play together in Barcelona.
Absolutely. So we're not going to see that. So hopefully he recovers. Quickly. Soccer doesn't want to lose a great player like that. I did not ask you guys about the officiating. Because to me, it's been atrocious.
The officiating?
Atrocious.
At least today's officiating.
Atrocious.
Our soccer experts, actually, Zania and Capriccio over there, brought up a very valid point that even in the game today with Colombia and Brazil, that could have been a Colombia win because they did call back a goal.
Should have been a Colombia win. Yes.
They called back a goal. a lot. I mean, Neymar, he flops a lot.
But, I mean, you go back to, like, the Mexico game. I mean, what were the calls? I mean, it's just – and I know my guy right here is he's Mexican. He knows what I'm talking about. It was just some bad calls, and I really feel like FIFA – everyone knows about FIFA. Yeah. But they've really been put on display as far as – I don't want to use that word that starts with a C, but you really start to wonder – did they know that they wanted to have Brazil, Germany, Argentina, and I don't think they wanted the Netherlands. They probably wanted another Portugal or something, so Cristiano Ronaldo like could be there. Exactly. It just seems like they didn't want these upstart teams. And like I told you, I didn't see a big disparity today between Colombia. Don't get me wrong. 1 through 10, Colombia is an 8. Brazil looked like a 10. They did. But Colombia played them tough. They battled them. It was a great matchup. I think that was one of the best ones that I've seen, as far as the intensity of the game. So hopefully these games continue out that way. So you guys are both going you still didn't –
I'm Netherlands.
Mm-hmm. I'll just say Argentina.
Just to be different.
All right, and I believe in Messi.
Wouldn't it be awesome if Brazil still won without their best player? That'd be crazy.
That'd be the biggest story, literally, probably in like World Cup history.
It literally would, especially in Brazil. That's for sure.
Yeah.
No shot. You think Germany?
Germany has a good shot too.
I'm saying Germany wins the whole thing.
Germany has a good shot. I respect that decision.
I feel like really any team you choose at this point, they have a good shot of winning the whole thing. I can't really discount any team at this point.
Okay.
That would actually be my second favorite, to be honest.
Germany?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, look, guys, I appreciate you coming out. Good stuff. Good soccer knowledge there. RJ's Automotive service at its best. Automobile owners, if you're looking for the best in automotive service, then give RJ's Automotive a call at 571-521-0400. Conveniently located in Northern Virginia for over 20 years, RJ's is an accredited business with the Better Business Bureau. RJ's has their opponents beat by offering 2-year warranties on all parts and labor. RJ's offers free tire rotation with every oil change and appointment service to better schedule your day.
I've used RJ's for all 3 of my cars, and one of them was recently totaled after they had done a wonderful job of taking care of it. I drive a Pontiac Montana, and they've assured me they're going to get me going for 300,000 miles, and I believe it.
As an added service, they're open on Saturdays for appointments and special services.
Well, I come to Rise because I know he checks everything out, and I know a lot of times I'll go other places and I'll come here and they'll really delve into an issue, whereas some other places will just try to replace big whole parts.
Remember, give them a call at 571-521-0400. you're a guy that whenever I see you on the field, the ball migrates to you. You know, you make big plays. A lot of people remember you last year picking off Tony Romo against the Cowboys to ice it as far as winning the division. Your first play back this year, what happened?
I got a pick.
You got a pick.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It just seems like the guys that were really part of the run last year aren't the guys who lost 7 in a row. Final segment here from Hooters in Fairfax. Lake Lewis joined with now. We're bringing in some more folks. You know, today was a show where we just tried to make it for you, the fans, to come up and talk with us. Normally when I'm here, we have several Washington Redskins with us. This year we have some Wizards with us as well. So keep all that in mind. We have a great time when we come out here. Normally we have a bigger crowd, but obviously it's 4th of July tonight. And in like 10 minutes, I think the fireworks are going to be starting. My daughter's here too, so my wife. So we're going to wrap this up in about 10 minutes or so, head on outside, so hopefully you can get out there and have some fun. I have 2 gentlemen with me that, I know very well. Guy here to my right in the middle, Mr. Daniel McGeth, does a great job with his company Bio clothing line. It's an inspirational clothing line, and a lot of the Redskins guys are wearing this stuff, and different athletes. He helped, participate in our football camp that we had last week at Woodrow Wilson High School in D.C., and on the end down there, another good friend of mine, Mr. Greg Payne, does a great job running the Gold's Gym in Ashburn, the number 1 selling Gold's Gym on the East Coast, and he's quick to remind me of that all the time. So what's up, guys?
How you doing, man? How you doing? Like,
all right. And they told me they're not going to be nervous getting up here. Look, we just talking, have fun. One of the things I want to talk about with you guys is in the NBA, because I know you're NBA fans, LeBron James. Big question is he going to stay in Cleveland? Is he going to go? Is he going to go to Cleveland or is he going to stay in Miami? And I think it's good conversation to have, but I think at the end of the day, when you talk about December and January and you're in cold Cleveland or you could be in warm South Beach, I don't even think it's anything to debate. He can get max contract in Miami. So it's about money. It's about, the fame and glory. He's got championships in Miami. What do you guys think?
like you said, man, stay where the weather's nice. He's winning games now. I know Bosch wants that big deal too. So depends on the help. It all depends on the help.
I think LeBron has to understand that it would be bad for his legacy. I think to go anywhere else. I think if he went to Cleveland, some fans would be understanding because they felt like maybe he jilted them a little bit, at the altar before. So you go back there. He's from Ohio. So I think there are fans that may live with that. But I do think that it looks as if you're going to where the better opportunities are, because Cleveland just had the first, pick in the draft, took Andrew Wiggins, Kyrie Irving signed a max contract to stay there. So they've got some pieces in place. And Anthony Bennett was the number 1 pick last year.
Right.
So they've got a nice young team that they're starting to build up there. It may appear, though, and I ask you this, Greg, would it appear to you that he's jumping onto the next best situation?
Well, I think with LeBron, his biggest issue is, I agree with him taking max or asking for max, because throughout the entire year, Dwayne Wade, who was supposed to be his Batman, was not playing throughout the entire year. So LeBron took the heat for everything, no pun intended, but LeBron took the heat for everything that went bad for Miami. But now, should he take and agree to equal out, the contracts when he should get the max?
He's the best player in the game. I agree. Right. I think when you're the best player in the game, you've won 2 championships. You've played for 4, but you've won 2. You've already tasted, the cake,
Right.
Yep. So now it's time to get paid. You're still going to compete for championships.
Right.
The question is, does LeBron have that burning desire to want to do this back in Cleveland? Don't get me wrong. He knows the history of Cleveland. He knows that city hasn't had a championship in any capacity, I think, since 1961, Jim Brown and the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
I think he knows all that, and I think he knows that the fans there would forgive him if he came back. The big question to me is not the fans embracing him back. It's not us in the media. What it is Dan Gilbert.
Yeah,
it's the guy that really raked him over the coals when he left.
Right.
What does Dan Gilbert have to do to sell that I need you back here?
Right.
That would be the final stamp. There was no way I would go back to a situation like that. You say something about me, don't forget it. I will forgive you. I will never forget it.
That's a good point, man, because I do think that is ringing in LeBron's mind there.
It has to.
And if you're Dan Gilbert, you might be like, dag, I really had a chance to maybe get this guy back, but, when you go out and you call him Benedict Arnold and all those things, that's just not. He said he quit on him in the playoffs, and LeBron doesn't forget that stuff. Of course he didn't.
No, and I think that a part of the issue that happened in the Clippers plays a bigger role because LeBron's reaction to the owner there would make you believe that, hold up, why would you even go back to Cleveland at that point if you had that much of an issue where they thought that you were going to hold out for the whole year if that owner was going to stay in the Clippers team.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. There's no way in the world I could think he would go back there. But I do think he'll end up in the Heat.
Yeah, I think he stays. And, the other thing, too, is Pat Riley basically said, you have to give me a chance to improve the roster here. LeBron tweeted throughout the NCAA tournament that one of his favorite players was Shabazz Napier. And Miami, make no mistake about it, they had nothing. They had no picks to really be able to get Shabazz Napier, but they made some maneuvers to move up to get him in the first round. And that's kind of to say to LeBron, hey, listen, we're trying to get guys that you like on this team. Even though I don't necessarily think point guard is their weakest link on their team, I actually like Norris Cole quite a bit. I think Mario Chalmers, he kind of had a rough go of it in the finals, but he's an adequate point guard. I just think that they need to get younger. The problem is when you give the big three that kind of money, you really can't build up your bench too much. So you need to get veteran guys that have never won championships that are looking for that opportunity, and that's pretty much what they've laid out on that roster. Now they may have to get some younger guys that understand that, the Dwayne Wades of the world, his days are kind of dwindling down, his time in the league. Perhaps you could be the next guy in this group with LeBron and Chris Bosh. So it's going to be interesting to be seen. You guys say LeBron back in Miami.
I think so. Yeah, I think Bosh is going, though.
You do?
I do.
Cleveland? Houston. That's where I think he goes.
Toronto's making a pitch for him.
That's taxes up there, though. Listen, you pay a lot of taxes in Toronto. I don't know. They do have a nice young team, though, and he was the guy there. He could go back there and be the guy again.
Yeah, they want him back.
Yeah, I don't know why. I see Chris Bosh ending up in Houston. I think he's the third big three to Harden and Dwight Howard.
Right. And I agree, both of you. They with LeBron, he's going to stay where he's at. I can't see him going somewhere because when you talk about his legacy, you're talking about you going from being the best player in the world right now to being a journeyman.
Yeah.
You don't want those two titles. So at the end of the day, I think LeBron stays. I think Carmelo, we don't talk about him, but Carmelo ends up staying in New York.
Of course, they gave him a max contract. It's about money, bottom line.
Yeah. At the end of the day, would your job ask you to take less of a cut and do the same work? A lot of us, some of us can't imagine that kind of money that these guys are getting. But at the end of the day, hey.
So you're telling me that if you had a chance to, and I'll put you on the spot, you had a chance to go to Los Angeles, run the Gold's Gym out there, and make $10,000 less, you wouldn't go?
No. I wouldn't even make the trip. They don't even have to have. We don't even have to have the conversation. But I get what you're saying, But I do like the fact that LeBron asked for max because at the end of the day, he's got to make sure him, his family, everybody's taken care of, and that these guys are also contributing their part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they're not, and he's getting the blame for everything.
Well, I don't like when I hear the fans say how much is enough money.
Right.
$120 million is a lot of money,
right.
and I'm going to take it if it's offered.
Exactly.
If you got offered $120 million to go play in Alaska, you're going. Yeah. That's just the way it is. But we're talking Miami. Yeah. You're talking getting a max contract and living in South Beach. that's not a bad proposition.
Yeah. But and not to interrupt you, but I think this is more about Dwayne Wade and LeBron James.
I do too.
When
I
Pat
truly
Riley
do.
came out and said what he said,
I truly
it was more
do.
about LeBron. But at the end of the day, LeBron asking for a max is more about Dwayne Wade.
Listen, Dwayne Wade to me, I've said it, great player. He looked bad. He looked out of shape. He looked tired. You don't have the luxury anymore, not in this league, the way it's shaped up now in the East. I mean, if you're in the East right now, I mean, I cover the Wizards here. If you're the Washington Wizards, you feel real good about your prospects to lay claim to being the second or third best team in the East. Yeah. I mean, people say, what are you talking about? The second team, they played Indiana pretty tough, 1-2 on them. Could have won, could have taken that game, that series to 6 games. But Miami's Miami. With LeBron, they're still going to be Miami. But I think that LeBron has deferred a lot to Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is Mr. Heat. We know that. But if you tell me that Pat Riley took a truth serum and the truth serum said that you could get rid of Dwayne Wade, re-sign LeBron, and go out now and spend the mid-level exemption or the second max contract on another player, he's signing up for that all day.
Oh, yeah.
But you can't get rid of Dwayne Wade.
Right.
He's got to retire Heat, so you may want to start throwing front office tips at him.
Same thing, Alonzo
Mourning.
Right.
Absolutely. Maybe you and Alonzo run a wing of the Heat,
Right.
You obviously they're going to honor him some way because he's been focal point for that franchise for a long time. Dwayne Wade we're talking about, but you have to do everything in your power to let LeBron James know it's your team. There's not going to be any marketing of the big three. It's going to be LeBron James in Heat uniform, and that's it.
Yeah, I totally agree.
And you guys will be cool with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a LeBron hater.
Why do you hate on LeBron?
Somebody's got to be a villain, man. I went from Reggie Miller in the '90s. Now I'm a LeBron hater now. So
well, he picked some good guys to hate on.
I gotta have somebody.
Hey man, the guy's a great player. He's the best player in the world.
Yeah, I don't knock him.
No Jordan though. I mean,
Right.
When everyone tries to throw that scenario out there, I just it's not even about being my age. It's just a ludicrous thing to say. It's lunacy. No way, but great player for today's game. So, Look, folks, we're going to wrap this up because the fireworks are supposed to be starting now, and I'm sure a lot of people want to get out there right here, Fairfax and Hooters. People lining up here on, what's this, 123?
Yeah, it's 50 and 123.
50 and 123, yeah, so they're lining up on here. So we're going to wrap it up, folks, and hopefully I can get some food, get out there and see some fireworks. So happy 4th of July. Have a safe weekend. You know my saying, spend time with family and friends. Leave everyone else alone. Have a great one.
Awesome.